8 times 4 is 32. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 more inches are 9. Duh. Math. Hi, and welcome back to Just Between Bus. If you're new here, my wife Rachel and I are converting this school bus into our tiny house. Today we're going to be talking about the preparations for what you can see already went on, which was the roof raise. We took out all the windows and all the trim from around the windows and kind of get everything prepped to cut out the hat channels, which are what holds these, which is what holds the roof up normally. And then welded in a couple of brackets to hold everything up while we were jacking it up the 14 inches that we raised it. So we're going to head to a couple steel yards today and pick up some steel for the roof raise. 2 different ones because better prices at each of them for sheet and flat stock and other stuff. We went ahead and got inch by inch square tubing because nobody has 1 1/8", which is what you need for the inside of those hat channels. And then we'll weld on an 1/8 inch bar to that, and then put another bar on the outside to form up something for the skin to be riveted to. Hopefully rivets get in tomorrow, and once we get some nice weather, we can get started on the roof raise. Alrighty, we got half the steel back there, all the skin's in. Not cheap stuff. We went with 18 gauge galvannealed, and that'll form the new skin. Apparently it's not super common. They had to ship it from Rockford, Illinois. We just got back with the steel, both batches this time. So we got some square tubing, some flat bar, and some more flat bar. And then underneath the pallet there is all of our new skin. It's 18 gauge galvannealed steel, 4 feet by 10 feet. And there's 10 sheets in there. I think they ran about $135 a piece, which has been going up ever since I first started talking to them. The square tubing and the flat bar and all that, that only ran me about, I want to say, right around $400 for all of that total. And then I've got about $300 in rivets coming, so 2,000 stainless steel pop rivets that will hold the skin on. Next step will be taking the windows out and getting the stuff off the outside, getting everything prepped, and taking all of these rivets out because the skin is going to slide up into that space and then it'll get re-riveted. So, pulling out the windows and trying to pull this one out. Something's holding me back. Can't figure it out. Finally, should probably look in and make sure there's nothing there. There's a screw in the emergency ones. I believe they should all be the same. Oh, that one doesn't have it. Looks like it's fallen out at some point. But something to be careful about. Alrighty, so we got all the windows out. Now we're going to focus on getting these things off, and that'll expose the hat channel underneath, and then we can add in stuff eventually. Got the windows on both sides out. We're starting after that, once we get the windows out and the pieces that are on there, that we're on there, we're taking off this piece. It's just some Phillips screws that are holding that on. And that, if we walk around to the other side of the bus, exposes the very top of the inner wall. And then that is actually glued down with that awful green glue. And once we pry that off, we just get the top of this panel. So there's actually nothing underneath this chair rail that it's hiding. Or not yet anyway. I'm gonna probably end my reskinning underneath that. So that'll hide that quite nicely. Alrighty, we're getting ready to pull the top row of rivets all the way down on both sides. So I've done some testing up here, and I didn't feel like going to hunt down every single rivet I popped out. So what I've found is that I can run a duct tape along it. Don't make it too tight, and then this will catch all the rivets as they come out, instead of me having to find them all over the driveway and possibly cutting up tires and things like that. So I'm going to run down and put a line of duct tape down there, and then what I've found for inside is if you come along with a angle grinder and make a little notch on the rivet, you can then air hammer across, chisel that out, and then punch the extra part completely out, and it works great, and you don't end up with rivets that look like that and are completely mangled. So we've got most of the rivets on the passenger side of the bus out, and I'm starting to get tired of doing that, so I'm going to take a break and work on a different project. I'm going to weld in the supports for the roof raise, and I've kind of picked a couple arbitrary posts that are going to be my supports to actually raise the roof on. I'll go into a little bit more detail when I actually have something to show you and point to with how exactly we're going to do that. But we're going to have one threaded rod in each of the corners that will hold everything up while we weld in the supports. It'll be all thread that's going to hold up the roof while we weld in the supports, and that's what'll hold it up when we're moving it up, so we can level it and all that fun stuff. And that stuff is right behind me. Kind of got a mess here, so I figured I'd make a bigger one. I'm getting ready to cut these flat bars and square tubes into the right sizes to weld onto the walls where that X is. There'll be one there, one on the other side, and then two in the front. So all this is a piece of 5/8 rod run down through 3/4 square tubing with a 3/16 plate on the back of that. And that should be enough to hold up the roof after I get it welded to the hat channel. And then we'll cut right in the middle of it. And as we raise the roof, we'll spin these nuts out, and that'll keep everything steady and keep it from tilting and allow us a little bit of fine adjustment so we can get everything dialed in to exactly where we want it. Got this side badly tacked up, but it'll hold. And then once we're done, we'll come through with a grinder and cut that out and smooth it out. Alrighty, so supposedly we've got a couple of days of good weather coming in, and I'm going to try to prep all the back here to be ready for the roof raise, should the good weather stay good. We shall see. I had a 5-day window and it's down to a 4, I think, right now, and we'll see if that continues. If it does, we'll raise the roof, and if not, we'll wait for a little bit more good weather. We've got a whole bunch of rivets left to knock out on this side here. I've gotten maybe, I'd say, a third of it. So most of the back portion here I've got to knock out. And then I've also got to remove the ones back here to cut out some other panels and get it ready to be cut off and raised up. That's where we're at for today. Making fantastic progress back here. I've gotten most of the rivets from the back end out, as the little pinpricks of light show. And I'm working a little bit on the side here as well. Got the last rivets out. I think what I'm going to do is cut them all about half way up the rib. And then I'm going to come up and over right in between these two frames across the back. That way I don't have to deal with the angle there. This part up here is flat, whereas that comes in at an angle. I just don't feel like dealing with it, so we'll cut there and then come down along the other side and go right back down the center until we get to the front. And then I'm going to do the transition where the existing small transition is. So we'll cut this one, extend it, and then come up, cutting all this loose, and cut the ceiling out. Come down along here, cutting all that loose from the door, and extend this last rib. So pretty much every rib in the bus will get an extension on it, which will be fabricated out of this steel in the floor. And then once we get all that done, we will reskin it and then put the windows back in. Alrighty, that should about wrap us up for this week. We'll see you next week with the video for the roof raise itself. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.